of the backfield, but is wrapped up and thrown down by Ricky Henry. But 39, Chris Beatty had Marty Garagosian in his sights.
Well, they had a short yardage on second down. Looks like they were going to go for the long throw here. They've got way too much penetration on the defensive part, and Southfield maintained their composure and shut the play down.
Loss of 5 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 7 yards to go. King will be the lone wideout as they'll set Elkins in tight on the right-hand side, almost next to Al Young. They pitch it back to Duran Stevens. Good job of changing directions, and he might have been able to change directions enough for the 1st down. Beatty again in on the stop. Jeff Reynolds is coming off the field. He was in on the stop as well.
Well, you know that Darryl Harper understands Bob Martin's defense very well, having worked with him, and probably feels he has a good concept of how to attack it and attack the philosophy, and so far that proves to be true.
10 for Stevens, so the Bluejays, the Chargers pick up their 2nd 1st down. The ball at the 34-yard line, 1st down, both wideouts to the left, that's Elkins and King. Now Phillips will come out of the backfield, motion left, Marty. Option play, the ball will go off the foot of Duran Stevens and out of bounds, about the 33-yard line, so a 1-yard loss on that fumble, and it'll be 2nd down and 11 for the Bluejays, the Chargers, at the 33.
Well, Marty Garagosian fumbles his mouthpiece to start out with and picks that up, so it kind of worked out that they did fumble the play along with it.
Somewhere between the 32 and 33, but as you may or may not know, that anytime it's in advance of another yard line, it counts as the succeeding yard line. Garagosian looks like the quarterback draw, and Marty runs that so well, you ask yourself after they run it on occasion, Frank, whether it was designed or whether it was a busted play. The stop was made by Derek Woods.
Well, I think he's reading that linebacker. If the linebacker's really bailing out to shut off the veer and take away their outside game, I think he has the license to be able to read that and come back and run his own draw play.
As we may or may not have touched on, Marty, a 2nd-year starter for the Chargers. Doring, the tight end on the right side, Elkins left, and King trying to run it out of the wing formation, actually coming back to the quarterback, and I think that there might have been some illegal motion, maybe a couple of guys in motion at the same time.
Well, as you know, in high school football, or any football level in the U.S., you can only have one man in motion, and when you use as much motion as Southfield Lathrup, if you get anybody else leaning, he doesn't get that luxury of being able to reset. It's automatically a penalty.
It is not a penalty in Canadian football, but obviously that the penalty for illegal motion is 20% less.
I think you said that in the first game. I hope they don't.
Well, that's why I said it now, because no one would notice I repeated myself. It's like, well, never mind. 3rd down and 14 now from the 30. Marty is in trouble, and he throws it down the middle off the hands of Ura King and incomplete. Good coverage by the Bluejays down there. Number 42, David Little, dropped off to cover Ura King. And I'll tell you something, so far they've done a nice job in keeping King covered.
Well, Lathrop's putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and King got himself open, but Marty had trouble seeing him because he had people right down his face. And but Lathrop's kicking the football, but they did get the field position they needed.
Garagosian averaging almost 34 yards a kick. He gets a high spiraling kick away. Cassidy Wright will let it roll, and it will take a Lathrop roll and be touched at the 25-yard line. And so for Marty, it's going to be a 39-yard punt and roll, and the Bluejays will take over. 1st down and 10 at their own 24-yard line.
Well, that was a heads-up play by number 20 on the Lathrop team, because once that ball, Bryant Windrum, once that ball is touched, then Southfield has the opportunity to go and get it, and even if they fumble or lose the ball, they're going to get it back, because you have a choice of having the ball where it finished up or at the point of first touching. And if he'd have just let it fall, Southfield would have had it.
They'll go with the 2 wideouts now to the left-hand side. That's Reynolds and Wright to the left. Bobby Johnson takes the deep handoff, and Bobby Johnson is in the secondary, almost busted it, got it up to the 40-yard line, but was grabbed from behind as he comes up with a big 14-yard run. And the Bluejays, we're going to talk about their big play tendencies here in just a second.
Well, Windrum saves the day here because he's the last man, and he just gets him by the shoelace and pulls him down, or he was going to the races.
Last year, Mike Brenner had Bobby Johnson, 23 carries, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he kicked 2 extra points. The Blue Jays last week against Ferndale had trouble getting their offense going in the first series and then came back and started moving. They're moving from the 40 right now. Deep to Bobby J, and he meets a crowd. Ray Moreland is on top of it, one of the defensive ends. Also helped out by Waleed Shamami, number 51 for the Lathrup Chargers.
Well, Bobby Johnson is definitely the man they have to concentrate on. He tore him up last year, as you highlighted, with almost 200 yards rushing, and I'm sure that's who they want to stop today. And so far they've been forcing the quarterback to carry the football.
Quarter whipping right along. 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter, and we are scoreless. The ball at the 42-yard line of the Blue Jays in their possession. Option play to Bobby Johnson, but Duran Stevens on the safety blitz coming through, bringing him down at the 38-yard line. A 4-yard loss for Bobby Johnson.
Well, Lathrup's an excellent defensive scheme. I don't think they're scamming them. Defensive stand. They've got the option play pretty well under control at this point, which is a big thing for Southfield to execute. And they're going to just make them get that tough yardage inside and maybe put the ball up.
They're going to use Blackman as a wide out to the right side. This is going to be interesting. They're not going to go with a tight end. Nope, now they're going to put Reynolds in the slot on the right. They have Ricky Porter, not Ricky Porter, but Porter. Right now, let's talk about Jeff Reynolds, and Reynolds is getting wrapped up by Brian Wyndham, and Will Elkins was there. So too was Richard Harvey, and just most of the Lathrup Chargers that time. Chris Porter is who I was trying to tell you about, and he was out to the left side, but this time they went to Jeff Reynolds.
Well, everybody in red sniffed this one out. This was going to be a reverse, and even though he was missed, he was forced deep, and it gave the Lathrup Chargers an opportunity to get there and throw him for a large loss.
Mark it back at the 35-yard line. 4th down, 15 yards to go. Billy Troy, 38 yards on his first punt. Here they come, and he gets it to turn over, and Uric King might be better. Oh, he picks it up at the 20. Uric King gets back the yardage that the Lathrup Chargers lost on the bounce. That was a gutty play by Uric King, but I'm also sure that he's concerned or aware of the field conditions.
Well, I think that the point I made earlier, that it's the last game of the season. You're 2-6 or whatever your record is, and this is your opportunity to pull the big upset. You pull out all the stops. This is when you take chances. You go let your best athletes go with their athletic ability and hope you can break something that'll inspire you.
44-yard punt. It was returned 11 yards. 1st down and 10 at the 31-yard line for the Lathrup Chargers. 1:50 to go in the first quarter, and we are scoreless at the Silverdome. This time Duran Stevens, and Stevens is hit as he gets to the 35-yard line. Ricky Henry was over there to make the stop. Warren Beard was over there, along with number 40, Ramondo Locke.
Well, they're attacking the short side of the field. They're getting Southfield to shift down to the wide side and into the strength of their formation, and they're coming with the pitch, and this has been relatively successful so far tonight.
Almost into the Menzo cam down on the sideline. 6-yard pickup, 2nd down and 4, 38-yard line. 1:45 to go, first quarter. Well, they smell that one out. They handed it to James Phillips, and Phillips ran right into most of the Southfield offensive line. Carl Miller, or defensive line rather, 65. Carl Miller was there to make the stop.
Garagosian felt he had the corner, and he wanted to pull the ball, and he couldn't get it out. And that play wasn't as designed. You know, he read the block on the tackle, wanted to pull the football and run the option on the corner, but he couldn't get it out of his hands.
The Chargers are taking plenty of time calling this one. There'll be about 1 minute and some single seconds to go in the first quarter when it's snapped. They're running it with the 3 running backs as they bring Uric King in the backfield. Counter play handoff to James Phillips, and the misdirection gets him into the open. James Phillips, great downfield block by Doring. James Phillips will be thrown down by Marvin Reynolds at about the 5-yard line. But as we watch this play develop, Frank, James Phillips' run was extended by a great block by Rob Doring.
You have a trap play. They've faked the motion, came back with a counter, and he was off to the races, and it looks like he was going to be caught up around the 35-yard line, but an outstanding block by number 88.
That was 86, Doring.
Was that Doring?
The man who brought him, the tight end who came back to block, and that was a solid block. He just didn't get in the way. 54 yards on the run by James Phillips. The ball is at the 7-yard line. Garagosian, quarterback, draw, touchdown, Lathrup.
Well, there's he's reading the linebacker. He dropped back for the pass, and if the linebacker leaves when he goes to the drop back, he's got that license to go. And, I feel that he has been such a strong competitor for them. They give him the ability to read, or the authority to read those plays. An excellent judgment on Marty Garagosian's part.
I'll tell you something, Frank. We've talked about this before, and we'll do this after the extra point attempt. Marty out of the Will Elkins hold. It's down, it's up, and it is good. And so with 46 seconds to play in the first quarter, the Southfield Lathrup Chargers have a 7-0 lead over the Southfield Bluejays. We talked about this, Kevin Burns and I. Well, let's watch the touchdown first of all right here.
Well, Garagosian drops back as if he's going to pass, and he's looking at that linebacker all the way. And what gave away that it was a design running play is you saw the lineman get downfield. And, Southfield didn't respond to that, responded as if it was a pass, and the hole was big enough to put all of us through.
Well, there is a tendency sometime when a team comes into a Southfield Lathrup game, no matter what the sport is, that the underdog, and there's going to be a whistle, so that kickoff attempt will be negated. But every time we do a Southfield Lathrup game, with the exception of hockey, it just seems like the team that really is not going to win, or is not supposed to win, comes up with a win. Remember the baseball game we did?
Yeah, we did a baseball game, and they got an outstanding pitching effort out of a young man who really hadn't pitched that much before. And it seems to be in these games, as last year, an unknown rises to the occasion, makes the big plays.
Well, everybody knows about James Phillips, 3-year starter. Blue Jays having trouble handling that bouncing ball, and Bobby Johnson has it, goes to the outside, and is run out of bounds by Will Elkins. Elkins looked like he did more damage to one of his own players. It looked like Doring, 86, who was over there across the way. But the Blue Jays will have excellent field position. And I'll tell you one thing, Frank, Southfield, as we have talked about before, can score from anywhere on the field, and I would not be too surprised to see a little one-on-one action with Darziel Hall and Cassidy Wright. There's your scoring drive, and it didn't take very long.
Southfield can't panic right here. They can't come out and try to do something that's going to destroy themselves right off the bat.
Cassidy Wright to the left, Jeff Reynolds right. Darziel Hall gonna have to run this time, and now he fires to the middle of the field, and Blackman makes the catch. Donald Blackman to the 31-yard line, and Darziel Hall did a great job of getting out of the way of the on-charging Chargers, delivering a 22-yard pass to Donald Blackman, his second reception of the season.
Well, it's run for your lifetime, and the receiver does a good job of coming back to the football, and then Cassidy Wright does even a better job of not clipping. He was in a position where he could come back and help, and he pulled off and didn't get the clip and allowed the play to progress as planned.
This will probably be the final play of the first quarter. With 1 second to go on the clock, they hand it off to Donald Blackman, and his 5-yard run to the 25-yard line ends the first quarter. And so after one from the Pontiac Silverdome, it's the Southfield Lathrup Chargers 7, the Southfield Blue Jays nothing.
Looking for something really wild?
Here on this mountain top, I got some wild, wild life. I got some news to tell about some wild, 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 wild.
National Geographic Explorer, 9 a.m. Eastern on the Superstation every Saturday morning.
The Blue Jays are on a march. They're at the 25-yard line. Jeff Reynolds comes into the lineup. David Little comes out of there. The ball will be at the Lathrup 25-yard